Alrighty, this is Aussie Gamer 17 and we're playing some more Sherlock Holmes, Crimes and Punishments. First thing I need to do is apologise for the audio quality on this video. I recorded this a couple of weeks ago before I actually learned how to use a microphone. So I'm having to dub in this this commentary on top of commentary I'd made by mistake during the recording. So yeah, apologies for that. But here we go with case number 6, the final case, and we'll also be picking up all of the final achievements to get us to 1000 Gamerscore. So hopefully you enjoy it, and I'm going to make this a longer full case video, so it's a little bit different to the rest of the series, but let's go.
Where are you going, Holmes? Have you been invited somewhere?
We have been invited, Watson.
We have? Where to?
To the Baker Street Irregulars' annual dinner. They sent us an invitation. It is on the table.
A dinner? How could those street urchins afford anything like that? I can't understand your interest in them, Holmes. They're dirty. They wouldn't hesitate to steal your wallet.
Watson, you should be excited. It is a secret dinner. Its location changes every year. Read the menu. Sounds mouth-watering.
All right. We, the secret police of Baker Street, invite you, Sherlock Holmes, and Dr. Watson to our annual dinner. Menu, entree, frozen rat head salad. Is this a joke?
Not at all. Pray continue.
Main course, sow's udder in Danny Nutcracker's way. Sounds disgusting, Holmes. Hedgehog goulash. Street turnips in homemade juice. And it goes on.
I can hear them on the stairs now.
Oh, we can't go there. We can't eat that.
Watson, you'll hurt the feelings of those poor children. We have to go.
Of course you do.
Oh, Mr. Holmes.
It is fine, Mrs. Hudson.
Mr. Holmes!
Wiggins, Dr. Watson is getting ready. He will be delighted to join us. You don't look well, my young man. Is there something wrong? Don't tell me the dinner is cancelled.
Mr. Holmes is my brother Leighton. He's in a prison cell. They say he's killed 2 men. You have to help us, Mr. Holmes, 'cause I know he didn't do it.
Where is he now?
From what I've heard, they took him to the yard, and they gave him a good beating already. You know what they're like. They'll hang him. They won't look any further.
Holmes, we have to help him.
Well, and forget about the dinner. Wiggins, I'll take the case.
You're fantastic, Mr. Holmes. I'll be waiting for you at the crime scene. You'll be there, right? It's on Half Moon Street in Whitechapel.
Very well.
Alright, so first thing the game's going to do is it's going to open up the map for us automatically, and that's going to make you want to travel to one of the destinations. But what we actually want to do is exit out of the map like so, and we're going to go and find Toby and talk to him, what should be our 6th case in a row, and get us an achievement called the Dog Fancier. And that achievement is for interacting with Toby at least once per case, and this being the final case. This is our final interaction, and he's found over here by the window, and it's also next to where Watson is standing. So hopefully I'll just push the button there. There we go. We're interacting with him now, and it just does a little dialogue thing with him. Like I said, we do that once per episode, and that should pop our achievement. Just waiting for that to happen now. Actually, no, you might notice that it won't pop for me here in the video, and that's because I played ahead, and unfortunately I popped that achievement off screen, but that's where it should pop if you've been following along. And now we're going to head to the map, and we're going to go to Half Moon Street, which is our murder scene. Okay, and when you arrive at Half Moon Street, you're always popped out in this little street out here. To get to the murder scene, what you want to do is head down this way, through this little alleyway or archway. Head down here, and when you get to the end, we need to turn to our right, and that'll take us to the murder scene. So just remember that whenever you get to Half Moon Street.
Please, gentlemen, leave the scene now. Oh, Mr. Holmes, is that you?
Good evening, Constable...
Constable Marrow. I was here with Inspector Aberline during the Ripper case, Mr. Holmes, back in '88. But then this is nothing like that case. With this one, we've got the murderer, the weapon, and the statements, which speak for themselves.
Of course, Marrow. But you know that appearances can sometimes be deceiving.
And all we want to do here is go through the dialogue with this police officer, so do that.
Who were the victims?
The two men here, both shot. The stab fellow was Brian Vercotti, a well-known ruffian. The other, Kenneth Butler, a jeweller by trade.
You spoke of statements. You have witnesses?
Well, I was there, so I gave my own statement. And then there were two other witnesses who said they saw the killer Chapman. Mr. Turner, a gentleman who lives in that flat over there. And Polly Powell, a flower seller, who was over at the far side of the street.
So, Constable Marrow, I should be delighted to hear your testimony.
I was standing at the north side of Half Moon Street. That was the side that you came from.
But you would have been unable to observe this part of the street, where we are standing now.
That is correct. But I saw the two victims slowly enter Half Moon Street, and then shortly after, the fireworks started. A few minutes after that, the fellow Chapman rushed towards me and ran into Half Moon Street.
Please continue.
I didn't pay attention, but suddenly I heard a woman's cries and police whistles on the other side of Half Moon Street. I rushed over there and I saw the two dead bodies on the ground. When I reached Whitechapel Street, I saw Leighton Chapman. He'd been caught by two police constables.
Okay, just keep going through the dialogue.
Did you hear the shots?
I didn't hear any shots. The fireworks were all over the sky. They were so loud I couldn't hear anything else.
What were the fireworks in honour of, Constable?
Well, today's Queen Victoria's birthday, Mr. Holmes.
Yes, I appear to have lost track of the days. It is May now, of course. Constable Marrow, what else caught your attention while you were running through Half Moon Street?
I saw nothing but rats, and I took the time to light every corner with my lamp.
Did you happen to look up at Mr. Turner's window when you were on Half Moon Street at that time?
Yes, I saw that the window was open, but no one was there. It was dark in the room.
Constable, your statements have been of great value to me.
Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to examine both murdered bodies or dead bodies. We need to examine each one at a time. You know how the drill. So we'll start with his head.
Brian Vercotti suffered greatly. What a terrible way to die.
And then I think we've got his left hand, and there we need to examine a tattoo on his hand there.
From Westgate Prison. Vercotti must have done some time there.
And make sure you remember that tattoo, because that becomes sort of more important later on in the episode. And then we're going to examine his right hand.
Death was not instant.
And then we'll examine the wound itself on his stomach there as well.
Penetrated his stomach. A dreadful wound.
And now back out we go, and we'll go over to the other dead body and examine that one as well. Similar drill here. So examine, I believe, the head first. The wound on the head.
Struck his head. This man didn't stand a chance.
Now we're going to look at, I think it's his pocket. Yeah, his left jacket pocket. Grab a key out of there. Examine the key.
An ordinary key. I wonder what kind of door it opens.
And now you'll see that if we, it's hinting at us to push RB for the investigation mode. So we're going to do that shortly. And then you'll see a bit of wood there that you can see just down under his right arm there. Stuck object, piece of wood. So once it lets us pick that up.
A piece of wood that has stuck between the cobblestones. Let us take a closer look.
Okay, and then what you want to do is spin that around so that you can examine the broken part here on the end. So examine that.
This shard of wood is quite new.
Alright, and now from here what we want to do is turn to our left and talk to this gentleman standing in the doorway over here, Mr. Turner. So let's go and have a chat to him.
Good evening, Mr. Turner.
I heard Constable Marrow reply to you as Mr. Holmes. Are you that detective gentleman? I've heard of you. And well, I know things about this evening.
Excellent. Might we hear your story?
And all we want to do here is go through
Could you
his
tell us
dialogue
everything that
again.
you may have seen or heard?
I was already in bed when the fireworks started. A few moments after, I clearly heard 2 gunshots from outside.
Please continue.
I quickly got up and I grabbed the lamp from my nightstand and I rushed towards the window. I looked down and I saw 2 bodies. And there was a man with a gun who was standing nearby.
Where exactly?
Well, near this body.
Did he notice you?
I don't think so. He rushed towards Whitechapel Street without looking around.
Mr. Turner, did you see anyone else in the street?
No, I saw no one but that man, the murderer, the fellow they caught.
Were the 2 shots you heard consecutive?
Yes, there was a very short pause between them, and they sounded different somehow. It seemed to me that the second shot was louder than the first.
That is an interesting comment.
Just keep
Mr.
going.
Turner, what were your actions after you stepped up to the window?
I was afraid that the man with a gun might return, so I stayed close to the window till I saw the policeman coming in the Half Moon from Whitechapel. Then I walked out to tell them everything I saw.
Alright, and now this is going to be our first opportunity for a character portrait. So we need to push X here and go through just 3 things for this one. And they're going to be a medal on his, I think on his left chest. Some sort of war medal or something like that. Then there's going to be a missing button in his vest. And also the fact that he's leaning against the door frame there. So there's the medal. So click on that one, then move it down to his vest here, click on the missing button or the area of the missing button, and then off to our left here where he's leaning on there, just click on that where it turns blue as well. And that'll be the character portrait completed, and that's the first of just 3 in this final case.
You have helped us a great deal, Mr. Turner.
And now, as you can see in the top right hand corner there, it's hinting that we have a deduction to make, and that's going to be our first deduction for the case. So push Y, and from here we're going to link 2 clues, which are going to be Turner's view, when I find it, and we're going to link that to dark window. And that's going to give us our first deduction. And if we go into that, what it opens up is conflicting statements. So that's the option for now, and as with all the other cases, we don't need to worry too much about what that means. Now turn left once you've finished that deduction and head down this way, and we're going to be looking for Polly, the flower saleswoman, and we need to have a quick chat to her as well. So here she is.
Mrs. Powell?
What do you want?
My name is Sherlock Holmes. I'm assisting the police with their investigation of the crime that took place this evening.
Well, I've already gave my testimony, but very well.
Same thing again, we just need to go through her dialogue and get to the end of it.
Could you tell us everything that you may have seen or heard?
Yes. I was selling my flowers as usual, and then the fireworks began, in honour of Queen Victoria. I enjoyed those. But then, all of a sudden, a young lad ran out of Half Moon Street and stopped just by me. He had a gun in his hand. He was like a ghost, and all covered in blood. It was dark, but I could see him, because of the flashes from the fireworks.
And then?
I screamed as loud as I could. I knew that a policeman should be on duty in the vicinity. He had no time to escape. 2 constables got him. Then another constable came out from the very same street, and I heard him talking of a horrible murder.
Alright, just get through the dialogue.
Mrs. Powell, Did you hear the gunshots?
I'm not sure. You know, what with the fireworks?
Did you see anyone else leaving Half Moon Street, prior to or at the time of the crime?
No, sir, I did not. Even with all the fireworks, I was very attentive, as I'm always on the lookout for customers.
My thanks to you, Mrs. Powell.
Okay, and from here you want to just turn around to this cart here and examine the mirror here. Not sure if you actually need to do this part, but I did it anyway. And it's, I guess, slightly significant in terms of one of the stories. One of the suspects or participants tell us later. From there, head back towards the murder scene. Obviously down this way, and then we're going to talk to Mr. Turner again. This time when we do talk to him, you just need to be ready for a QTE. So get ready with that X button, and when that shows up on screen, make sure you push that before the timer runs out.
Close by your window after the crime, is that correct?
Oh, yes, Mr. Holmes. I stayed at my window until the policeman arrived to examine the dead bodies.
There it is, so push that. Now the correct answer for this one is going to be Turner's contradiction. He's saying that he stayed at the window, but the police officer saying that no one was at the window, so something's going on. So click that first option.
That is very interesting, Mr. Turner. Constable Marrow stated that he did not see anyone at the window when he was running through Half Moon Street.
Well, I think Constable Marrow and me, we might have been distracted by the whistles and shouts coming from Whitechapel. We could have missed each other somehow. You understand what I mean? It was a bit of a stressful moment, to tell you the truth, sir.
Allow me to form my own theories, Mr. Turner. Would you mind showing me the view that you had from your window?
Not at all, Mr. Holmes. Please, follow me.
You can notice his limp there as he walks
appears
away.
to live very modestly.
Now, once we're in his apartment, there's a few things we need to explore. Firstly, this fireplace just down to our left at the start. Examine the fire, and you'll notice that we can push RB again there in the top right hand corner to do a detective mode or whatever it's called. So do that, and you'll notice a bit of paper there off to the right. I'm trying to pick it up already. But once it turns blue, we can pick it up, and we're going to examine each side. So this front side, and then turn it around to the other side and examine that.
Able to see what's written here.
Then what we'll do once we've examined that is we can put that down, and you're going to turn around
Words are illegible.
and head off behind us to our right.
Just a short while ago.
Alright, so head to our right and to the bookshelves here. Get a closer view of those and examine the books that are on the shelf.
Are in a mess. It looks as though Mr. Turner was trying to find something in a hurry here a short while ago.
And then you'll see that he's got a walking stick down the bottom there, so examine that as well. And then rotate it around, and we're going to see the tip is broken, and we can examine that.
There we go.
And that is the bit that we found down by the dead body.
Stuck between the cobblestones. He did not mention that he was so near to the victims.
Okay, put that away, and now we're going to head to our left and go into Mr. Turner's bedroom and just examine his bed quickly.
Mr. Turner was roused from his bed by the sound of gunshots.
And now we are going to head into the kitchen and get a close-up look at the kitchen table that Mr. Turner's sitting at here. On the table, we want to look at this knife here.
This kitchen knife is quite sharp.
Then what we can do is go into detective mode again with RB, and we'll start to notice some paper shavings or something, or shredded paper there on the table. Once it goes blue, once again, we can examine that
There
closer.
are pieces of shredded paper scattered over the table. This kitchen knife was used to cut the paper.
And now we can head over to the window, which is where he has observed the dead bodies from. So open up the window and have a look down here and
Turner had when he opened the window.
examine each body again.
Iron Vercotti's contorted corpse.
And the second one.
The dead body of Kenneth Butler. Mr. Turner had a perfect view of the crime scene. He saw the bodies clearly and Leighton Chapman standing over them.
Alrighty, so now what we can do is we're actually going to use Sherlock's imagination. You can see it hinting again, doing some good hand-holding this game, all the way through the game. So we push LB, and what it's going to do is it's going to, we're going to see sort of little sequences that Mr. Turner has obviously gone through, and what we need to do is put them all in order, and so obviously I'm going to show you how to do that. The first thing we want to do is head over to his bed and make sure we click on him getting out of bed as number 1. Then what you want to do is number 2 is he's gone from bed straight out to the window. So go and make sure we click number 2 on that. Then we got the bodies down there. So that's going to be number 3. So make sure you do that. Number 4 is going to be the bookshelves. So head over to the shelves where we found his walking stick. And that's number 4. Number 5 is then going to be the knife on the kitchen table. So head over to the kitchen, select that as number 5, and then turn around and then you see him throwing something in the fire, and we're going to make that number 6. And now what you can do is you can actually push the left trigger to watch the sequence. So do that. Alright, and you'll see him getting out of bed. Now we can actually press A to fast forward the sequence, B to reset it, and LT to build it again, I guess. So just, he's obviously hopped out of bed. We're going to fast forward a little bit. He goes to the window, sees the dead bodies, decides to go downstairs and have a closer look. Down he goes. Yeah. Again, guys, I want to apologise for this audio. It's quite embarrassing, but I can't actually go back and fix this without re-recording the whole thing, which isn't possible at the moment because of my setup. So this is the best thing I can do at the moment. I may eventually re-record the whole thing and fix it, but I don't see too many people even watching this, and I was just doing this whole series as a bit of a practice run.
So Mr. Turner used a book to hide an object that he found on Kenneth Butler's body. The question is, what did he find?
And now we can push RB to further examine this bookshelf and work out what this whole thing tells us. So RB, and then when it turns blue, pick up this book.
Prints from greasy fingers upon the cover of this book. Let us take a closer look.
Alright, so the book, examine that again, and it opens up the book, and grab and examine what we've found.
Jewel concealed inside a book.
And if you hover over the ram's heads, you can examine those closer.
A bracelet with a unique ram's head design. A distinctive feature of ancient Grecian artifacts, probably of the Hellenistic era.
Okay, and now what we want to do is go and talk to Mr. Turner again. He's got some explaining to do, so let's go and have a chat to him. Just remember, while chatting to Mr. Turner this time, we need to be ready for 2 separate QTE events as well, so make sure you've got that X button ready.
Mr. Turner, how would it be possible for a man of advanced years, such as yourself, to rush from his bed to the window in a matter of seconds, as you have stated?
Well, I'm able to move very quickly, despite my age, and when the situation requires it, Mr. Holmes.
Alright, so here's the first QTE. Push X on that one, and the correct answer here is going to be Turner's limp, so click that one.
I highly doubt that, Mr. Turner. I observe that you suffer a severe limp due to your injured right leg. It would have taken at least 10 seconds for you to approach the window. That means you could have easily missed something or someone in Half Moon Street during that time.
You're right, Mr. Holmes. I could have missed something. But it did seem to me that everything happened so quickly. Time can pull tricks on you.
And then, yes, again, be ready for a second QPA.
And what of everything else that you told us? Mr. Turner, it is vital that we have your complete and true statement.
Mr. Holmes, I do assure you that the other things I said were most sincere.
And here is the second QTA, so make sure you push X before the time runs out, and this one we know is going to be the antique bracelet, because we haven't managed to grab that
Mr. Turner,
out of him
you were
yet.
not sincere with me. Not then, and not now.
But Mr. Holmes...
This, Mr. Turner, does not look like anything that a poor man might possess. It is worth more than the home that you live in.
I can explain.
No, merely correct me if I am wrong. You saw Leighton Chapman through the window, but you also noticed a glittering object on the ground, this precious jewel. You walked down and took the bracelet from the body of Kenneth Butler, and when you heard the whistles, you hurried away. That broke your walking stick. It caught fast between the cobbles. Constable Marrow was unable to see you in the window as you were climbing up the stairs on your way back to your flat. Upon returning home, you hid the precious jewel inside a book.
Mr. Holmes, please don't send me to prison. I didn't do anything bad. I'm just a poor man. When I chanced upon the bracelet, I saw it as an opportunity to make a little money. I was desperate. I only took the bracelet, that's all, I swear.
You made a mistake by lying to me. But you are not a criminal. I believe that. Although I must return this bracelet to its rightful owner.
Okay, now that finishes everything that we're going to do in Mr. Turner's apartment. So what you want to do now is open up your map. And what we're going to do is we're going to be heading back to the yard, Scotland Yard. Head that way and continue our investigation.
Mr. Holmes, whatever brings you here so late at night?
I'm interested in the case of young Leighton Chapman. He was arrested earlier this evening and accused of a double murder.
I beg your pardon? That case is quite clear to the police. Or are there any new facts that we don't know about?
Who knows, Inspector?
Look, you are free to investigate, of course, Mr. Holmes. Chapman was arrested with a revolver in his possession, which you can find in the evidence room. The suspect himself is in custody.
Did you find anything else on his person?
A few personal belongings. Nothing particular, Mr. Holmes.
Thank you, Lestrade.
Okay, now from Lestrade's office, turn around and head out the door, and we're going to head to the evidence room. You should know where that is if you've played this far in the game. So head into this room here, into the evidence room, and we're going to inspect, Leighton's belongings. We're going to have a look at that. What you want to do is you want to look at the cigarettes there on the table.
Cheap tobacco. Nothing interesting.
The cheap watch. But obviously the important thing here is the gun. So pick that up and we're going to examine it a little bit closer. So
this is
grab
the
that.
gun that Leighton was holding when he was caught by the police. It is a Webley revolver, a reliable weapon.
Come on, Sherlock, I want to get this walkthrough going. And we're going to investigate the cylinder.
The shells were not removed from the cylinder.
And then we're going to rotate the gun so that we can see the top and the catch there, and we can open that. And then we want to examine the shells in the cylinder there.
Out of the 6 shells have been fired. There were 2 shots.
Alright, so now this gives us 3 new deductions that we can make. So push Y and we'll go into our deductions that we're going to make for this case now. First one we want to do is Leighton's revolver. And we're going to link that to different shots. Yeah, okay, so link those two, open up that deduction, and it doesn't really matter what we choose here. We'll go over that all towards the end of this video. And now we will head back into the clues again and make our second deduction here, which is we're going to link 2 victims. We want to link that again, this time to Leighton's revolver as well. So using Leighton's revolver again, but this time linking it to 2 victims, open up the deduction, only one choice there. And we want to go back into the clues a 3rd time. And this time we want to link common statement with Leighton's revolver yet again. All right, so link that, open up the deduction, and it doesn't matter what we choose here, as we've already said. Okay, from here we actually want to go and speak to Leighton. This is Wiggins's older brother. He's down in the cells area, so head down to the cells. He'll be sitting there in the cell. Speak to him so that we can move him.
Suspect for interrogation. Good evening, Mr. Chapman.
Who are you? I've got nothing to say. It's all a mistake.
Calm down, Leighton. I have come here to help you. To find out if you truly are innocent, as your younger brother Wiggins has told me.
My brother? You know him? Then that means you're...
Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, blimey. All right, Mr. Holmes. I'll tell you everything.
Oh, is that right? Okay, so go through his dialogue first.
Good. Tell me your account of what happened.
I left my work and I hurried up to see the fireworks in Whitechapel. I was late, so I decided to cut through Half Moon Street. I saw the first fireworks light up in the sky. I bumped into a constable on a corner before entering Half Moon. Then suddenly, what with all the firework flare, I saw two men. They were both lying flat in the middle of the street. I stopped where I was. I thought about turning back to the police, but as I was thinking of that, I saw a third person. He was leaning over the body that was furthest from me. The second I saw him, he raised his head and he stared at me. In a flash, I saw his gun, but he made a dash for it instead and he escaped through Whitechapel Street.
And continue through that.
So you might still have had time to return to the constable.
I panicked. I didn't know what to do. Anyway, I approached the bodies just to see if they were still alive. I saw that one had blood pumping out of his stomach. He was dying. It was horrible. The second one was already dead. He had a hole in his head. He was holding a gun in his hand though. I took it, and then I followed the third man.
And again.
Interesting. Pray, continue.
I turned a corner, and I saw the man standing in the middle of the street. He seemed to be in some sort of panic. And then, Mr. Holmes, something strange happened. I told the police and they laughed at what I said, but I swear to you, my words are true. I started running towards him. But then I was blinded by a flash. It was so bright that I hardly saw anything for a good dozen seconds. But I kept running forward. As I arrived in Whitechapel, I heard a woman screaming. And then I was caught by the police. But there wasn't a trace of that man. Of course, then they found a gun and all that blood. I couldn't see the murderer escaping and all that mess. Perhaps I was still half-blinded at that moment.
A thrilling account, my young man.
Alright, and just go through his dialogue still. Get through that.
Leighton, are you able to describe the person whom you saw standing in Half Moon Street?
Well, I wasn't able to see his face at all. It was too dark, and he was too far away. I could see his silhouette.
And what about that?
Nothing so special. He was wearing a jacket. He was quite average in size and his weight.
I see. Was there anything else that struck you at the time?
No. But perhaps it's strange, but I can't remember the sound of his footsteps as he was running away. Perhaps it was because of the fireworks or the surprise of me seeing him.
And now we have our second character portrait for this case, and it means we've only got one left for the entire game because there's only 3 in this particular case. So push X, open that up, and I'll go through what you need to click on. There's just 4 things here. It's going to be the scar on his cheek there. Then you need to move the camera when you can across to the right side of his face and click on the bruising there as well on his cheek. And then you want to move the camera down. This is all just pressing RB. The scarf around his neck, so click on that. And then when you can, move the camera down towards his left hand and you will see a tattoo on his hand. You may recognise that tattoo from one of the dead bodies earlier. I made sure we took note of that earlier. So that's the second character portrait completed. Now we'll just continue his dialogue and exhaust all that. But yes, we do need to be ready for a QTE in this one.
I confess I am puzzled. Why should a young lad like you take a gun from the hands of a dead man and set off in pursuit of a probable killer?
I know. keep wondering that, but at the time it was like a reflex. A criminal ought to be arrested, and he was armed.
You were willing to risk your life. That was a little...
Yeah, I don't think he's telling the truth.
Unless you wanted revenge.
No, Mr. Holmes. I was just being brave and stupid.
Alright, and here's the QTE, so push X, and now the correct answer here is obviously going to be Westgate prisoners. We've linked that he's got the same tattoo as one of the victims, so that's quite curious, and we need to find out more about that, so click that.
I'm sure that you were, but I believe that you may have recognized one of the victims, Brian Vercotti. You knew that gentleman well, did you not?
However could you know that?
You have a typical tattoo of the Westgate Brotherhood upon your hand. I observed exactly the same mark upon Mr. Vercotti. You came to know him from your sharing a past prison sentence. Am I correct, Mr. Chapman?
Oh, God. You're right, Mr. Holmes.
And now just get rid of the rest of his dialogue.
Would you tell me a little about Brian Vercotti?
We were convicted for a robbery. Once in prison, both of us joined one of these fraternities. During that year, we tried to help each other out, you know?
You were quite young then, I believe.
Yes, Mr. Holmes, we were. We'd only stolen a pound of meat. After we were released, and when I saw what my little brother had become, I decided to work towards living an honest life.
And Vercotti?
He had a hard time. His sister had died in a Whitechapel dispensary while he was in prison. He had no family anymore. Our paths split. He fell back into crime.
So you lost him?
Yes. And for around 2 years, I heard no news of him at all.
We shall see you soon, young man.
And now we have another 2 deductions that we can make. So you can see it hinting at that at the top corner there. Push Y. What we want to do from here is we want to link, first 2 clues are old acquaintance, and we want to link that to lootless. Link those up. Open up the deduction that gives us. And once again, it doesn't matter. I'm just opening these up and clicking on them just to remove the little hints that it's giving us. And we want to go back into the clues, and this time we want to link Leighton's statement with common statement, because they don't quite match up. So we're going to link those, open up the deduction. Once again, doesn't matter yet. And now what we want to do is actually exit out of here, open up your map, and we're going to travel. Oh, before we do, we're actually just looking at the character portraits, and it shows there we've got 1 remaining for the game. So get rid of that soon. But first, we are going to head to Baker Street. Once you're here in Baker Street, we've just got some research things that we need to take care of. Head over to the encyclopedias on the far wall here. What we're looking for is the antique art of the British Museum. It's on that first tab there, so we don't need to move anything around. Have a read of that one. Open it up. Pause the video if you need to read that first page, and again with the second page. Exit out of there, and what we need to do then is go to the newspapers, which are going to be just behind us, or sort of to our left. The stack of newspapers here, open those up, and what we want to do is we want to move the year to 1885, and we want to look into treasures stolen. The Hellenistic treasures stolen. So click on that one, have a read of that, pause the video if you need to. Same with that page, and then again with the third page. And from there, we can head back to the map. Oh, I've stuffed up the audio here, but he's just saying that one of the victims has a pawn shop. So that's become available now on the map, and we're going to head straight there. So let's do it. All right, so once you're in this location, you actually can just head straight ahead and turn right, and then follow this path down to the end, and the pawn shop's here on the right as well. And what we're going to do is enter that. We got the key off the victim. That was the key that we got out of his jacket pocket.
Matches the lock perfectly.
And we're going to go inside and we're going to look over to the left over here and examine the shelves down the bottom here, and then have a look at the climbing equipment. That's something we need to keep in mind later on in the episode,
by a mountaineer.
or shortly to be honest. Then we're going to go over to the counter, lift that up so that we can go behind the counter and examine the shelves straight ahead, and examine the flare gun, or the flare pistol, or whatever it's called there. Examine that.
It was pawned by a destitute sailor.
Now remember that also. Now turn around and go to the counter here, and you can see two drawers. So we're going to have a look at these drawers once I get the camera right. And we want to open the drawer on the left, grab the necklace,
Examine this necklace here.
pick it up, and examine the fact that it's got the ram's head, so that's linked to the other jewellery we found earlier.
This necklace belongs to the 5 rams of
Stolen jewels.
collection.
And there's also a letter in the drawer.
Kenneth Butler owned a part of this collection all this time, 10 years after the theft.
Alright, so pick up the letter as well. We'll have a read of this. Pause the video if you need to. Again, apologies for this audio, this echoing and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, have a read of that if you need to. Now we're going to open the second drawer. And in here we're going to find a book.
Mr. Butler kept a careful record of his operations.
And now we have yet another deduction that we can make. So push Y, and from here we are going to link Butler's jewels, and we're going to link that with 2 victims. Open up that deduction, and once again it doesn't matter what we choose, so just click on one of them. Yep, doesn't matter. Alright. Now from here what we want to do is open up the map, and this time we're heading back to the murder scene of Half Moon Street, so do that. From here we need to head back to the crime scene or the murder scene, so straight ahead and turn right, we should know by now.
What's up with you, lad? What are you waiting for?
I'm waiting for my brother to be released.
Always picking up weekends.
Brother?
The one that you caught, beat up and imprisoned.
Ah, the murderer.
He ain't killed no one, copper.
What's your man?
Copper?
Else you'll be joining that worthless brother of yours.
From here, what we're actually going to do is we're going to be trying to reenact the murder or the shots that were fired, basically. So what you can do is push LB to use Sherlock's imagination. Shows the 2 deceased fellas. And what we do is we walk over there and select one of them, and it will make him fire off a shot. We see where that shot has gone, and now we want to walk over to that wall and figure out if there is another bullet, because we know there was at least 2 shots heard, but we're trying to work out what's actually gone on. Okay, so head over to the wall. As you look up there, you can see that you can't actually examine it properly.
See any higher. I need to find something to lift my lamp.
Alright, so then we turn to our right, head over to the wall over here. It's very dark here, so it's hard to see and show you guys, but there's a pole. So pick that up. Take it back to the exact wall we were just looking at where the bullet had gone. And then use it at that location, and he'll use the pole to lift up his lantern, and we can then examine the wall a bit closer. And if you just move it directly up, and you can see that hole, so straight up and then examine the bullet hole.
This is most definitely a bullet hole. The brick cracks are fresh. Watson, there was a 3rd shot fired in this street.
And now what we've got is we've got 2 more deductions that we can make. So click Y. The next one we want to make is we want to link 2 victims to 3rd shot. And open up that deduction, choose whichever one you like. As I've said a million times now in this series, it doesn't matter until we work it all out at the end. And what we can do once we've made that choice is we're going to head back to the clues, and we're going to link the third shot with Leighton's statement. So make that connection and then go back in, or go into this deduction as well. And we've got a new task. It's called the disappearing man. And that's going to lead us to do a couple of other things. First of all is we need to now go and speak to the cop again. All right, so turn around, head back over to him and have a chat with him.
Constable Marrow, I would value your assistance in this investigation.
It would be my pleasure, Mr. Holmes.
I would like to make sure that there are no places in Half Moon Street where a man could hide while you were running through it with your lamp.
All right, Mr. Holmes, what should I do?
Take your lamp and start walking, just as you did before, and try to find me.
Understood.
Okay, so now we've taken control of Constable Marrow, and what we're doing is we're trying to recreate walking through the crime scene, and he's using his lantern to see if he can find Sherlock, who's trying to hide from us, to see if the killer could have hidden somewhere. So that's what's going on here. For this first one, just head straight ahead, don't deviate, all the way straight ahead, and shortly you'll run into Sherlock. And once you do, click on him.
I can see you very well, Mr. Holmes.
All right, Constable, let's try again. I'll find another place to hide.
And then
Same thing again here. Just head forward, and this time you'll find Sherlock just to your left as soon as you get through this bricked area. There he is, so click on him.
Here you are, Mr. Holmes.
All right, Constable, let's try again. I'll find another place to hide.
Alright, the last one now, so the third and final time we're going to use Constable Marrow for this. Head straight ahead, and this time what we want to do is head right, go past the dead bodies here, turn left, and then you'll find Sherlock off to your left here, so click
Mr.
on him
Holmes,
again.
It wasn't difficult to find you at all.
It is obvious now. No one could escape Constable Marrow's lamp while hiding in the street.
Okay, and now we have another deduction, just one this time. And what we're going to link is Leighton's statement, and we're going to link that to corners in sight. Open up that deduction, and it's given us an experiment up the walls. We're going to sort of see if it was possible that the murderer climbed a wall to get away, and that's why Leighton couldn't see him. And to do that, we're going to need some equipment. So head to the map, and we're going to be heading back to the pawn shop. So click on the pawn shop and head back there. And back here at the pawn shop location, head round the corner and back into the pawn shop. Yes, round the corner, yep. In the shop on our right. And what we want to do is we want to grab the climbing gear here on our left. And then we want to head...
Those are exactly what I need to climb the wall.
Sorry, head behind the counter now. And grab the flare gun, if you remember where that is. So grab the flare gun.
This is exactly what we need in order to imitate the flash of the fireworks.
And then we're going to open the map up again and head straight back to the murder scene. Now, what we're going to do here is a little bit tricky, so I'll just try and explain it before we actually do it. Well, that's what I was doing when I was trying to do live commentary anyway. But we're going to go and start an experiment. And it's going to involve us needing to press buttons fairly quickly in order to climb the wall. So when it starts, you're going to actually be pushing RT, and then you're going to have to tap A as fast as you can until that sort of completes that. And then you're going to push LT and then tap A as fast as you can. Then RTA, LTA, RTA. Sort of repeats in a pattern like that.
I'm just watching you, lad. I never know what to expect from people like you.
People like me?
Yes, street beggars and thieves.
I ain't a thief.
Oh no? Then where did you get whatever it is that you're gnawing on? I very much doubt that you bought it.
What ain't seen can't hardly be stolen.
So, first of all, we'll just go and talk to Marrow, and then we'll get him and Watson in on our little experiment. So, head over to him.
Constable Marrow, Watson, I would like to perform another kind of reenactment with your help.
I'm listening, Mr. Holmes.
I want to check if Leighton's testimony can be trusted. If someone could vanish into thin air at a specific moment.
But Holmes, I don't see how.
I am going to be the mysterious gentleman whom Leighton followed. I will stand exactly where he saw him before he was blinded by the flash. Watson, you will be Leighton. When I fire the signal flare, you should start to chase me.
I understand, Holmes.
You, Constable Marrow, just play your part and do exactly as you did. Just, please, wait 5 seconds after the signal flare. I doubt that Polly Powell would have screamed any earlier.
As you say, Mr. Holmes.
Let us begin then. Catch me if you can.
Okay, so this is going to be the start of the experiment. All you need to do is move sort of forward to our right up here, and we want to push LB, and yeah, head to this wall, and it'll start our experiment of whether or not we can climb the wall. If I get this right.
It would be difficult to see anyone scaling it.
Alright, here we go.
Alright.
Okay, get ready.
Alright, here we go. So, as soon as he starts climbing the wall, you right trigger, there it is. Tap A as fast as you can till the circle goes in. Left trigger. You have to do that before that circle fills in. A as fast as you can. Right trigger. So that's the pattern. A, tapping A, left trigger, tapping A, right trigger, tapping A again. There we are, right trigger. Just a couple more and we should be at the top. So tapping A.
Are you there?
Left trigger.
Doesn't change. Just keep going.
Where is he? My God, a man can't just disappear like that.
And that should be
That's it.
Holmes? Holmes? Where are you?
I cannot see you, Mr. Holmes. Dr. Watson, it seems that Mr. Holmes has disappeared.
Don't worry, gentlemen, I am up here, above your heads.
How on earth did you get up there, Holmes?
I am using crampons and a climbing axe, although the person we are looking for did not leave any traces of such tools. Constable, is there any way to get to the top of this building?
Yes, Mr. Holmes, I can show you. The door to the building can be found from Whitechapel Street.
Gentlemen, I am on my way down.
Alright, so now we're going to make our way inside that building. So just head over to the door. They put you right in front of the door so you know where you're going. Up we go. Alright, once inside, head to your left. What you want to do is look for this broken window. Examine the window a bit closer. We've got...
Someone broke through the window to get inside the attic, but in his haste he ripped his jacket.
So it's the broken glass there, and again this pocket of the jacket here. And then, yeah, detective mode, press RB, and something's going to show up on this jacket here, black thread, so when you can, click on those as well.
Thick black threads. They're unusually strong. I should examine them under the microscope.
And now what you want to do is there's going to be some glass down on the floor, and then
these shards of glass are from the window above. We can conclude that the person whom Leighton saw climbed up the wall, broke into the attic window, and escaped through the hatch.
And now what we can do is we can actually make a deduction. So push Y, as I will any second now. There we go. And what we want to do is we want to link Leighton's statement to the wall climber. Link those together. Go into the deduction made there. And once again, choose either option. It really doesn't matter. And now we want to head into the map, and from here we're going back to Baker Street. As Sherlock just hinted, we need to make an analysis. So head over to the analysis table, and from here we're going to analyze the black threads that we just picked up off that jacket. And what you do, so click on the analysis table. From here, what you need to do is obviously click on that to examine it, and we need to focus. So just left or right trigger till the thread focuses.
I very much doubt that it is human. I need to compare this sample with a human hair and a horse hair. A shaving brush is usually made from horsehair. Watson, could you please pass me your shaving brush?
Here you are.
There's the
Watson,
horse hair.
what's outside the window?
Well, I don't see anything. Ouch! Holmes.
Oh, don't make such a fuss. One little hair.
And a human.
Okay, and now we'll do pretty much the same thing again, except we're examining each hair. Very simple. Nothing to it, this one.
Significantly thinner than the black sample.
And then the horse hair.
The horse hair is thinner than the hair that we found. So, this black hair belongs to an animal, and it is larger than a horse. A hair from a large and exotic animal.
And now we have our next deduction yet again. So what we want to do is we want to link exotic animal hair, and we want to link that with wall climber. So click on those, head into the deduction once again, and this time things actually get a little bit different. We actually need to actually make some deductions in order to make sure we have a particular task made available to us. So I'm going to go through in a second what we need. So that one is circus acrobat, so make sure we click on that one from that particular deduction. Then what we're going to need is we're going to change double murder to crossfire, and that then gives us, so make sure you've got these other ones. So it's circus acrobat, simultaneous shots, crossfire, what is it? Layton's innocence and burglary motive, and it gives us vanishing act. And that's just a little task that we're going to need to go and achieve. And by that, what I mean is, I guess we need to find this person that would be capable of climbing up into the window. So what we're going to do for that is we're going to head to our map, and we're going to go back to the murder scene.
Okay,
and once here, head down into the crime scene. And what we want to do is we actually want to go and speak to Wiggins, because we use him to find things for us.
Wiggins, my lad, what are you doing here? You'd best be leaving and be quick about it.
I've done nothing wrong. You'd learn more by watching Mr. Holmes. He knows exactly what he's doing. Not like you.
No, you tell him.
Watch your tongue.
So yeah, we want to go and speak to Wiggins and see if he can track down this acrobat for us. So I think we're going to ask him to find us a circus.
Mr. Holmes?
We have good news for you, Wiggins. The investigation has proven very interesting so far. We found facts and details that confirm your brother's innocence.
I knew it, Mr. Holmes.
But for now, Wiggins, we need your help.
Anything you like, Gov.
I need you to locate a circus that has stopped over in London. It needs to have disposed of at least one exotic animal, a very large one.
You can count on me, Mr. Holmes.
The next morning, very early.
I do hope that those children don't get into trouble, Holmes.
Don't worry, Watson. I predict some news in 7 seconds.
He's always guessing.
Mr. Holmes, we found it. Here it is.
Alright, so he shows us a poster. We've got to examine the title, the Duval Brothers Circus.
that is currently stopped in London.
And then we've got to examine the elephant on the poster as well.
Indian elephant, the highlight of the show. I believe that is exactly the type of circus we are looking for. I'll pay it a visit.
And then the game will take us straight to the map and we'll go to the circus.
Hey, you! Stop right there.
Good morning, sir. Pardon me, but why am I not allowed to walk around here?
Because it's private.
Well, I only wanted to meet the artistes.
Hmm? You're wanting to apply for... Nah, you don't look like the type of, artistic lockpicker that we're looking for.
You might be surprised.
What? Nah, I don't think so. Clear off.
Okay, so that didn't go to plan. So straight back to the map, and this time we're going to head back to Baker Street. And here in Baker Street, we need to head into the into Sherlock's room, straight over to his wardrobe. We've been here before. I think it was in not since the first case actually. So head to the wardrobe, and what we need to do is look for the sailor outfit. No, correction, the bandit outfit, not the sailor outfit. That was from a different case. So yeah, put on the bandit outfit, and then what you want to do is press Y to go over to the wardrobe. And from here, we're going to put on a hat. I've tried a few of the different hats, so there's a few of them that work. So, but I specifically, I think I went with number 11. The hair and hat, but yeah, so number 11 is a hat. And then what you want to do is you want to make your way down to the facial hair. And again, a few of the different ones work. So if you want to, you can have a play around with it. But I've gone with number 6 for this one. Just making yourself a disguise so then you can go back to the circus. All right.
Stay where you are. What are you doing here, and where is Sherlock Holmes?
Calm down, Watson. Take deep breaths now. It's me.
Oh, thank God, Holmes.
It's almost like
Get
Clark Kent.
used to your disguises.
Thank you, Watson. That means I am ready.
He's not the sharpest tool, is he?
So for a Dr. Watson's not too smart, and now we go back to the map and back to the circus.
Who are you? What's your name?
My name is Nigel. I'm here to open the locks.
Talented, eh? Let's see. Go inside the marquee and show yourself to Charles Foley. And I'd highly advise you not to trick him. Got that?
I've got it.
Okay, so once we're in control here at the circus, you just head straight over for the building here with the stairs leading up with the little red carpet. Up we go, and then straight in the door.
So, everything is here just as you asked. And what about the money? Some of the barrels are wet. Transportation issues, it couldn't be helped. Whatever. We'll be here after midnight to pick up the supplies. I want to be paid first. No. You'll be paid after we make the transfer, as I said. Right? I hope that no one saw you. The police are on the lookout. Of course not. I'm a professional. Glad to hear it. Be ready for tonight then.
Alright, so once you have control again, head over to the barrels sort of near where those two were just chatting and examine the barrels here. Should be 2 different barrels, one up the top here.
Barrels are roughly clustered. It seems as though they were brought here in a hurry.
And then this one just below that. And you can look a bit closer on that one, the crack down the bottom, examine that.
Is damaged. It is difficult to say what is inside.
And then the paint on the top of the barrel.
There is a spot on this barrel that was intentionally painted out.
Now what you can do is use the detective vision, or RB, and examine the crest at the top of the barrel.
Artillery company. Could it be gunpowder?
And then you want to look a bit closer at the crack.
Click on the crack again.
And makes the gunpowder pour out, and examine that as well.
Judging by the fractions and the scent, I can confirm that it is, in fact, gunpowder.
Now what you want to do is head across to the other side of the room, and you've got a printing press here. So examine that a bit closer. From here we want to examine the poster on top of the printing press. Examine the picture of the man on there.
Contemporary gentleman wearing a Robin Hood hat. Interesting.
And then also the slogan on the poster.
From lambs into lions. Those are words of encouragement and defiance. This poster was clearly made to fire up rebellion amongst the people.
Then what you want to do is examine the printing press itself.
This printing press is old, but still quite capable of printing hundreds of pages per day.
And then the pile of blank papers on the floor as well.
There are enough posters to paste across half of London's walls.
Alright, now we'll be talking to a character we
Powder
will
kegs,
find to be
printing
known
press,
as Fold.
and a great many blank papers. All of this was stolen by the Merry Men quite recently. And these poster samples. I am quite sure it is not a coincidence. The Merry Men are planning some sort of sabotage.
Stop right there. Who are you?
Are you Charles Foley?
Maybe.
They say that I can open any door.
Do they now? We'll see that lock near the chains on a table over there. Open that.
Alright, and now it is time for our final character portrait. So our third in this case, but our final for the entire game. And if you've been following along, you'll unlock an achievement right here. It's a methodical man, and that's for obtaining all 26 character portraits. So the way to do this one, the first thing we need to do is head down, so RB to move the camera. There's going to be a key around his neck there, so click on the key. Then there'll be a bandage on his arm, so have a closer look at that. And move down again, and you should see a gun sticking out of his belt. Click on that. And then you'll see, move down to his hand and a ring on his hand, so have a closer look at that. And we notice that that's a ram head ring, so that's related to the other jewellery. And then you'll move across to his left hand and notice the tape on his fingers.
Alright, character portrait complete. Your achievement should pop from...
Okay, so that achievement should have popped for you. And now what we've got is another deduction. So push Y, and this time we can link antique ring to Foley's revolver. So link those two like that, and then head into that deduction, and at this point it doesn't matter at this stage, so just click on that. And what we're going to do from here is he'll want us to pick a lock for him, so I'll try and explain that the best I can, but head over to the lock here. I've got to try and remember here, so hopefully I show you the parts. If you remember how I've done some of the other locks, the part that's highlighted right now is actually what I would call part 2. Okay, so that's part 1, and hopefully I click onto part 2 in a second. That's part 2. Oh, that's part 4. What am I doing? Okay, 3 is there. And part 4 is there. I'm just trying to get the controls right, obviously. Okay, the first thing you want to do actually is we're going to use left trigger to rotate the entire thing. What we want to do is get that horizontal line on the far left of part 4, so that it's sort of lined up in the middle. As you can see there, that's what's happening there. Excuse me. Then what you want to do is move to part 3 and match the similar line on the far left of part 3, and match that with the line that we just put in place in part 4. Okay, so that's it moving into place now. Then you want to move back to part 1, and you're going to rotate that around until there's a line that matches up to those lines on parts 4 and 3 that we just moved. So twist that around. Okay, so that's it there. Now you want to press left trigger and rotate the whole thing again so that the lines on the far right of parts 3 and 4 are now in our vision there. So similar to what we did at the start, but on the other side now. Then you need to get part 2 and rotate that to match those lines on the far right as well. Okay, like that. Now we're going to highlight the whole thing again, and we're going to rotate it around. And I'll tell you what you are looking for when you rotate it around. You're looking for 2 vertical lines on the left. I think it's on the left there. We just went past it. So we'll go around again. Those 2 vertical lines on the far left. We just need to be able to see those for the next step, which is we're going to move part number 3. And we're going to move it around so that those lines there on the far, on that sort of window on the left, start to match up. So rotate, sorry, not rotate. We're going to move part 3 to the left, just like that. There we go. Hopefully that all makes sense. And now we've just got to go over and talk to Foley again. So let's do it. And you've just got to be ready for a QTE here. So just be careful.
Nigel Shirley.
Get that X button ready.
Nigel from York. Never heard anything about you. How'd you hear about me?
And there it is, so push X, and what you've got to do here is the correct answer is a jailed thief, so click on that one, and that will move us on.
It's a long story. I met your brother, Vincent the Butcher Foley, in prison. He told me all about his betrayal, and all about you. Before I was released, he told me that you might find a job for me one day, and pay me some money for me craft.
Well, he died 7 days ago in prison.
I'm sorry to hear that.
That's all right. The traitor has paid the blood price for it. And you'll do the job anyway, because I need a talented lockpicker. I know just where to search for his legacy.
It's all about the Hellenistic treasures, isn't it?
Osh, you fool. Now, listen up. You'll come with us tonight. And you better mind yourself.
Us? Wait, who's coming then?
Billy, Jack and me.
And what will I get for that?
We'll share the loot. The one you seem to know about.
Right.
Wait for us at the abandoned manor house on a corner of Ladbroke Grove and Kensington Park Road at midnight.
Deal.
So now we're straight into the map, and we're going to go to Notting Hill Manor.
Here I am at the manor. Somewhere inside it are the Hellenistic treasures.
Alright, so here at the manor we have a another lock that we have to pick at this door. So go up to the door, click on that.
Be much of a challenge.
Now hopefully you remember the parts that I've numbered them. So that's 1. Again, I'm having to dub in this commentary a couple of weeks after I've done it, so I can't remember exactly what I did. So 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the first thing you want to do is move to part number 2 and move it all the way across to the right, so then you can rotate it. And you want to line it up with the lines on part number 1 and then join it back up. So I'm thinking that that's it, but I think that's where we got it from. And I might need to double check it and then move it. Yeah, so move it back out. Don't leave it how you had it, even though it looks like one of the lines lines up. What you want is that one there. So then join it back up. And now you want to press LT or left trigger, to rotate the whole thing around until you can see the left-hand line of number 4, the one on the far left of that bottom cylinder, just like in the previous lock actually. So center that as well. Now we need to move to part number 3, and we need to match the top line. So similar situation, move that back. I've accidentally moved it all. So you'll see 2 horizontal lines on the far left of this. The top one we need to match with number 4, like that. Now move to part number 1 and rotate it around to match those lines that we've just created with parts 3 and 4. So rotate it. Keep going. Yep, line that up. Okay, so now we're going to hold left trigger again and move the whole thing around until we can see a big window on the right hand side. That window right there. So that's it there. Switch over to part number 3 again. And then we're going to move it to the right. So when we click on it properly, that's 2, that's 3 there. We're going to move it to our right. No, not rotate it. So I was doing the wrong thing here. I think I'll figure it out eventually. Hopefully. Bear with me here, guys. I can't remember making this mistake, but what you actually wanted to do was just move it to the right and then line up the lines on the right hand side like that. There we go, and there it is, unlocked. Had a bit of trouble there at the end.
And lockpick it.
Hopefully that was easy enough to follow though. So we've still got it. Head in and you turn right immediately, and in this room there's 2 bookcases. You want to head to the one on the right and examine that. Look at the books first. Books there on the shelf, and then you'll be able to examine the books on the floor that I'll figure out in a second. Come on, Aussie. Find the books on the floor. On the floor. Down. Nearly there. Oh, there we go.
Several books.
Alright. So that's going to tell us that maybe we can move this bookcase.
I'll give it a try.
So that's exactly what we're going to do. So select that, move. And now we've found a safe, and we're going to do yet another lockpick.
That's the lock I must open tonight. Let me see.
Alright, so same story here. We've got parts 1, 2, 3, and 4. So hopefully you've been following along and this makes sense. What you want to do is you want to... I'll wait for it all to start. So there we go. Part 1, Part 2, 3, and 4. What we actually want to do though is hold left trigger and rotate the whole thing, and we want to see 2 tall windows. So you can almost see one there on the left. Keep going a little bit more, and there we go. I'm just going to double check it, am I? But that was it. That were the 2 that we want, the one on the far left and the one on the far right. So those 2 windows. Move to part number 3 and spin it around to match the lines in that left window that you can see there. So I'm sure I'll do that any second. There it is. So start rotating that around until we can join those lines on either side of that window. There we go. Now what we want to do is move to part number 2. And we're going to rotate that around until we match the lines to the left of it, what we're looking at here. There we go. Oh no, we're not satisfied with that. We just want to make sure that that was the right one, do we? What we might do is highlight the whole thing, and we see that that doesn't line up, so we're going to move it down to the next one. Now maybe have another look at it. See, yeah, that all matches now. So that was the right way to do it. And now we're going to use left trigger and actually move or rotate the whole thing around until we can see these 2 empty windows. That'll be them there. I'm not sure they're really empty, but they're the 2 windows. Are they the 2 windows that we need? No. Okay. Bear with me. There's the 2 empty windows. A big one on the right and the tiny one on the left. Now we can move to part number 4. And we can line up the lines on the side. Come on. Not the lines on the side, sorry. The lines in the window. Line them up And that'll be it. Once we've lined them up. No, not there. Keep going. And there we go. That's it. Alright, so hopefully again that made sense.
The safe as well. Then what you want to do is examine the safe again.
What a surprise. Another lock. And I won't be able to pick it. I recall that precious key around Foley's neck. It might prove a decent fit. I suppose they hired me to only open the first lock. Let us wait for the thieves, trap them, and find out. Let us check the thieves' possible escape routes in the event that they are caught off guard by the police from the front door.
Okay, so now what we're actually going to be doing is we're going to be going around the house and setting a few traps for these guys that are supposed to be coming here and trying to rob this place. First thing you do is head into this kitchen, head to the right, and check out this possible exit, which is the door here.
This door is a perfect means of escape in an emergency.
Now head to, or in the opposite direction. So through the kitchen. Head to the right here to a window, if I get the camera right. So head to that window.
The ground floor window is a perfect way to escape the police.
So what we're doing now is we're just discovering all the ways that they could escape, and we're going to go upstairs now. So head up these stairs and examine the window at the top of the stairs.
Although this window is high above the ground, it would be possible for one of the thieves to attempt to use it for
they're the escape routes, and now we're going to set traps or stop each escape route. Yeah. So the first one to do is we're going to examine this top stair here. Have a look at that. And we find out that this is a place that we really want to set a trap. Now head to the table here at the top of the stairs, just off to our right. And pick up the necklace, and then what we're going to do, so grab that bead necklace, head to that top stair, and we're going to drop the necklace on the top stair. So quickly do that. So drop that there.
One step on these beads, and our thief will go flying.
From here, head back down the stairs.
Here, else my plan will be ruined.
Yep. Down the stairs, Sherlock. Head down the stairs. Back towards the window outside the kitchen, just there, as you can see in the back there. And there's a cupboard there on the left. We want to interact with the cupboard, and we're going to move that in front of the window. So move it. Alright, so now you can push LB, which is our imagination, to see sort of what the effects are of what we've done so far, just to keep up with what we're doing. So it's just showing if someone runs up there, they're going to obviously slip on the beads, and then we've obviously blocked this window as well. Now you want to go into the kitchen, and you want to grab the chair in the kitchen to our left there. Grab that, and we're going to move it over to the door that we used to actually come into this room in the first place, that leads back to where the safe is. And we're going to block this door using the chair.
So we're going to block.
Yep. So just click on that, and we'll put the chair in place.
The door is now blocked.
Now what you want to do is, if you turn to your right, come on, Sherlock, turn to your right, and there's a hatch on the floor. So examine the hatch. And open the hatch. Now we've got to head around the hole that we've just created.
He will need assistance to get out.
Yeah, so head around this hatch or this hole carefully. Yeah. All right, come on. It's really annoying having this dodgy audio in there. But yeah, so we want to head back into the living room, sort of where the safe is. And there'll be a roll of carpet leaning against the wall. So examine that. Pick it up. And we're going to pick it up, Sherlock. Come on, mate. And we're going to head back into the kitchen. Around the long way again.
And we're going to cover the hatch with the
and we're going to use it to cover the hatch.
Now, it's not an open hatch. just a nice carpet on the floor. I should walk carefully here, else my plan will be ruined.
Now what you want to do is push LB again and just see what we've managed to achieve here. There we go.
He'll pay a surprise.
Now we want to head to the stove here in the kitchen.
Alright, now we've got a rope here.
And we'll pick up the rope off the stove.
So take the rope.
Yep, grab the rope, Sherlock. And now we're going to head back into the lounge room. On the floor in the lounge room, we should see a chandelier.
Back into the living room.
What I should mention is, once you have got all these traps in place, we're going to unlock an achievement.
In here.
And it's for trapping all these guys that try and break in. So grab the chandelier, attach the rope. Then examine the hammer that's just here. And attach the rope to that. And then we want to hang... One second.
Formidable hammer, but they were unsuccessful.
Then what we want to do is hang the chandelier up. So grab the chandelier again.
If anyone takes the hammer,
so there we go.
We'll uncoil and make.
And that's actually all the traps all set up. And press LB now to see the result of that trap.
If he runs through the dining room and takes a sledgehammer to force open the door, the chandelier will knock him down. The traps for my circus companions are all prepared.
So all the traps are set now.
But I'll return later with Charles Foley and his companions.
And there's the achievement. Rare achievement unlocked. Catch the thieves at Notting Hill Manor. So there we go. And we're getting closer and closer to our 1000 gamer score.
Police! Police!
Oh.
Stop where you are!
Trapped, Watson, with your assistance.
How so?
Well, you sounded just like a real bobby, my dear fellow. You startled them into the traps.
Well done, Watson.
I assure you, Watson, it was quite an entertaining show. They will not escape the house now.
You scum!
And this is the pistol used for the murder in Half Moon Street.
How'd you know about that?
Oh, look who's here.
Have you closed the case yet, Sherlock?
Mycroft, what are you doing here? Did you follow me?
Sherlock, it may seem that I used you, but you should be pleased to know that you have served our Queen well, in this instance. So now, let us catch the big fish. But this man is not one of the merry men?
No.
Then why exactly are we here, Sherlock?
This gentleman, Charles Foley, has been involved in a double murder, and the hunter of a set of valuable antiques, the Hellenistic treasures, which disappeared in a theft many years ago.
You're no better than the coppers!
Alright, and once that cutscene is over, what we need to do is actually look inside the safe. So open it up.
Holmes, that is incredible. The Hellenistic treasures.
Indeed.
Nothing but trifles. Where are the merry men?
I don't know why you are asking me, Mycroft. They are yours to find.
I'll see you soon, dear brother.
Alright, and now it is time for the final deduction of the game, or of this case as well, obviously. But yeah, the final deduction of the game, and we're going to link Precious Safe with Long Lost Art. There are only 2 clues there, and it's going to reveal our final deduction there. What we're going to do is we're going to go through the 2 incorrect conclusions of this case. So you might have guessed it, we're nearing the end of this game, basically. I'll go through what we need to deduct, I guess, to get the first incorrect conclusion, which is called robbery. Alright. So,
Anyway, the
First one
first incorrect
we need to change.
for
Let me
the-
see.
for robbery. That's going to be the answer. Or the
We want imaginary man. So the first thing we need to click on.
Imaginary man. Have we got imaginary man? Hang on.
Oop.
That's not it.
Hang on.
Man. Oops. Press the wrong
Nope,
button there.
that's not the one we want to start with.
So we are going to get it. So we've got one gold.
But because I accidentally opened up that gold, the achievement that we get for getting all possible conclusions pops, or it counts as soon as you've got that gold sphere. So that has actually counted one of the possible conclusions. So as soon as we get two more from here, whichever two they are, we're going to get that achievement. So just be ready for that to pop if you've made that mistake as well. Not that it's a mistake, it just means your achievement pops earlier. There's never a problem with that.
There it is. Instead of
Alright, so we want compelling evidence there.
We need burglary motive, which we've got.
We've got burglary motive.
And we need
Did we get imaginary man yet?
imaginary
There it
man.
is. So change circus acrobat to imaginary man.
That should all
And that then unlocks robbery. So you need imaginary man, firing position, double murder, compelling evidence,
You
and
committed
burglary
a terrible
motive.
crime, Leighton Chapman. You killed two people with the intention of obtaining a set of valuable antiques.
What? That's a mistake. I didn't do it.
However, your brother Wiggins came to me. He needs you as much as you need him. I have faith that you will not err again, so I have decided that you shall avoid a harsher fate.
Mr. Holmes has convinced me to ease your sentence, but you'll still be imprisoned, lad.
Mr. Holmes, but you promised to save him.
Alright, so that's the first incorrect conclusion playing out. And now we're going to choose another ending. So go back into your deductions once you get back to this part. And we're going to change just a couple of things in order to get the second incorrect conclusion. And that's called double murder. So we want to change it to personal motive. So that was just one thing, and there's the achievement popping for all possible conclusions. It's called a complex mind, and we get 70 gamer score. So yeah, it was just what was it? Burglary motive to personal motive. That's all you have to change to get that second
Leighton
incorrect
Chapman,
conclusion. So let's have a look at
You
that.
did
It's
commit
going to
a
be
double murder
pretty
in
much the
Half Moon
same
Street.
though.
It was due to a long-held grudge
It's
against
gonna be
one of
very
your
similar.
victims, Brian Vercotti. However, your brother Wiggins came to me. He needs
Well, yes,
you
yeah,
as much
that's
as you
what I'm
need
saying.
him.
But no.
We have solid evidence, Chapman. You cannot deny it. A crime is a crime, but
Alright, this is all the time. Alright.
I just skipped a lot of that dialogue because it's going to be the same. And now we got our final conclusion, and this is going to be the correct conclusion. And I'll sort of try and point out what we actually changed this time. So imaginary man, we're going to change to circus acrobat. Then we've got firing position. We're going to change that to simultaneous shots. We want to change double murder to crossfire. Come on, we're going to change compelling evidence to Leighton's innocence. Personal motive becomes burglary motive. And that is it. Gives us everything we need. We've got Foley's Vengeance. That's the correct conclusion. So we're going to click on that and see, I guess, the final ending. And oh, this is one bit you need to be very, very, very careful. Every other one we've pressed A to condemn the perpetrator, but here for some reason we have to push X, and this very, very nearly caught me up. And if we didn't press X, we wouldn't get the achievement for either condemning or absolving every single perpetrator. So whatever you've done all along, you need to make sure you continue to make that same choice to get the achievement. So pushing X for us here if you're following along.
Charles Foley, you committed the crime of premeditated murder and of theft. You will be severely punished for your deeds.
You are pitiful, you Scotland Yard dog.
Save your words for the gallows. I'm sure the journalists will love them. I shall leave now, Watson. Gentlemen, please take our friends here into custody.
Where are you going?
I have unfinished business. I'll see you at Baker Street.
Be careful with the lamps. Don't bring them too close to the barrels.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Oh,
Who's there?
That is of no importance. What matters is who you are and the plans that you have here.
So you can stop us from carrying them out?
is this the Merry Men?
Yes.
Hey, careful. You'll blow us all up.
I'm listening.
We are a group known as the Merry Men. But I suppose you knew that already. We are the men who've already lost everything of value in their lives. We are ruined shopkeepers. We are workers who were fired from their jobs, honest people who were robbed. We were forced out from our homes and thrown onto the street, and all of this in the name of the so-called law. The laws that were set out by our government. The laws that make the commoners only more vulnerable and the wealthy more protected. We are not only from the British Empire. Some of us are from the New Lands, America, Australia, and we are many. But men we are still, and we are merry for that we stopped being afraid. For those powers that be had done their best to plant the fear inside our souls, and we accepted it so easily. The fear advised us to keep our heads bowed. It prevented us from fighting. Bankers and politicians, they own our lives, our work, our bread, and they push us to compete between each other, just to see who may serve them better. But in the end, they are the few, so they are weak. They are nothing without their titles. We should not fear them. Our so-called masters should fear us instead. The time has come for our group to stand tall. Our great and many merry men. We are going to blow up the London Stock Exchange. No life shall be lost. But ownerships, debts, and property titles? They shall all be destroyed. Papers, after all. So many people will be freed over this night.
That is a radical step to take. What result do you truly expect?
Chaos. But soon people will understand that they are free, and that they don't belong to anyone. They will be able to work for themselves, together, without letting the rulers dictate what to do, and finally justice will arise.
What you are intending to do is a crime. It is not justice.
How do you see justice, then? Kids go to prison for a loaf of dry bread. And how many lords do you see punished for stealing from their people, sending them to their deaths in mines or overseas to fight for land? Our masters wouldn't hear us. So now it's time to sing the song of the merry men. Will you let us do our duty?
All right, and this just leaves us with a final decision for the game. But I'm really not a fan of the whole storyline of this Merry Men situation, and I just make the choice based on what I've been sort of thinking throughout the game. That while I might agree with some of the Merry Men's reasons, I don't agree with their methods. So we are going to make sure that we don't let them commit a terrorist act, and we're going to throw the cigarette on the powder trail and destroy their plans. But yeah, overall, not happy with the way that all the cases were sort of linked by this. It was very, very weak.
When people fight the order, they are too blind to see the consequences that throw society into chaos. I shall stop your actions, but not you. Run. Now!
Yeah, I'd run. Definitely run. Oh, the engine didn't handle that very well, did it?
So, you're interested in Russian literature now?
Quite lately.
It is an interesting book. I remember a few lines.
Really? I tried reading it myself, but I had a hard time understanding it.
Yes, Doctor. It's about intelligence. Sherlock, I vaguely recall one of the lines. Sometimes it takes something more than intelligence to act intelligently. There were also a few words along the lines of pain and suffering are always inevitable for a large intelligence and a deep heart. Tell me, Doctor, does my brother show any signs of pain or suffering?
Not that I know of.
Because you see, Doctor, behind all of his masquerade, my brother does possess a deep heart. So deep that he does not recall where he places his love.
Well, I'm sure that...
His love and his duty that, in the first place, should be directed towards the Empire. For without it, we would be nothing. A country filled with uncivilized men.
And the Empire needs order and discipline. It has no room for chaos.
People who commit crimes, or at the very least intend them, deserve punishment, Sherlock. Without justice, there can be no civilization.
But we serve the truth, not justice.
Your truth, Doctor, that may prove immoral. Allowing people to terrorize London, destabilizing the whole empire.
Terrorize only the powers whom you serve, Mycroft. Not I, not Watson, not Mrs. Hudson, not Wiggins.
Sherlock, the merry men are to be stopped.
Not by me. You created the merry men. Stop them yourself. Only make sure that you don't create 10 more merry men by arresting the one.
Good night, Dr. Watson.
I think he's staying true to himself.
Anything in the post, Watson? Any clients worthy of our attention?
Only a second reminder from Mrs. Hudson about our new neighbour. She urges you to remove your...
Oh, I don't care about that.
Holmes, the lady who will be moving in shortly has requested the use of our spare room to place all of her boxes.
Wait, what? A lady?
And there we go. That brings us to the end of that final conclusion. And what we need to do from here is just push A to make sure we accept it. And that's how we sort of finish the game. Like I was just mentioning previously, I'm not happy with the story in the end. It is a very easy 1000 gamer score though, and if you're playing for achievements, there you go. If you've followed along, you should now, or you're about to obtain all 1000 gamer score. So we'll have a few achievements pop, and that's one of them there. That's 30 gamer score for completing the game. That one's obviously just for completing the game any way that you do it. Another one for 130, perfectionist. Collect all possible in-game achievements. So it's a little bit out of order because we're about to get another one or two pop. There's the next one, a man of character. That's for receiving maximum personality ranking. That's for condemning each and every criminal. Or you could have got it for absolving each one. I never guess, reach 6 correct conclusions for all 6 cases. So separate to all the conclusions. And one more, Guilty Brotherhood, finishing Half Moon case. I believe that should be about it.
And that's it. Let's skip that.
Alright, so I don't want that song playing, so I've just skipped that. Had a few although I'm new to this, I've had a few show up when I'm trying to process the video and say that there's a bit of copyright. But that is the end of the game. Nothing else. That's all 1000 gamer score. So all achievements for the game. Hopefully, if you were following along, it made sense and you've got all the achievements. While it does take a little bit of time to get through each case, the actual difficulty of the achievements, very, very simple.
Obviously, there's no
especially if you followed along. But as you can see here, all unlocked. 1000 out of 1000, 25 achievements. And again, I'd like to put out a big apology. I don't think it matters too much because I'm not expecting too many views on these videos. But like I said, I recorded this when I was still learning, and I don't have the game with me anymore, so I can't just go back and replay this last scene. But anyway, I'm going to thank you all very much for watching. If you've enjoyed it, please give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button, regardless of my audio difficulties. Really trying to grow this channel now, and I'm just putting this up just for completion, but because I don't want to leave it open-ended. But for now, like I said, thanks for watching, and I will catch you all next time.